This is what the paper said at Robins Air Force Base about this Master Sergeant, this senior NCO. And they headlined it, Achieving Greatness. The 78th Security Forces Defender named one of Air Force's 12 Outstanding Airmen of the Year. This is what they had to say about him. Master Sergeant Jahara Brown, 78th Security Forces Squadron, Plans and Program Superintendent at Robins Air Force Base, Georgia, is one of the Air Force's 12 Outstanding Airmen of the Year for 2019. The OAY program annually recognizes 12 enlisted airmen, only 12, enlisted airmen for superior leadership, job performance, community involvement, and personal achievements, right? 12 Outstanding Airmen of the Year is who's going to present for you this afternoon. But let me tell you something. Before all of this, before the Achieving Greatness, it was the Airman recruit that was from Atlanta, Georgia, joining the Air Force, no vision, trying to find a purpose, trying to find a goal, trying to find out who he was and who he was going to become as a man. And let me tell you, he went through some obstacles, he went through some trials, he went through some tribulations, but what he did, he stayed in the fight. And that is his message that he's going to bring to us this afternoon. He's going to talk to us about what it takes. He's going to be raw, he's going to be uncut, he's going to be unfiltered, and he's going to be truthful as a senior NCO about who he was in becoming the man that you see before you this afternoon. So I want you to get ready for the 12 Outstanding Airmen of the Year, Master Sergeant, let me correct that, Senior Master Sergeant Select, Jahara Brown.
You need to be able to get up and say to yourself, hey, listen, you know what? I decided to join the military. I decided to take on this job. I'm the one that put in this resume. So if you're going to complain, complain to yourself, because you are not giving yourself 100%. You are not giving yourself a chance. You are not giving yourself an opportunity. So I want to say to every single person out there, it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter your human condition. It doesn't matter the culture in which you grew up or the societies. I don't care if you're black, white, I don't care where you're from. You have to make a decision on what you need to do. Because if not, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Either you're going to put in the work or you're not. I'm JB. Scott Air Force Base. What's up? Y'all already know what time it is. I'm Master Sergeant Brown, Defender by trade, 100%. So, this morning, it was insanely cold. Now, I'm from Georgia, so this weather is a little goofy for me. But, it's pretty nice outside, so I don't feel too bad. So this is what I want everybody to do. Everybody do me a favor, stand up. So I'm not going to cheat you, so I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the crowd in the first morning. There's something that I really want everybody to realize is, you saw the message when I said that it's on you. 100%, everything that we do, it's about how you put in the work. So when I point at you, I want you to say it's on me. So after I say a thing, I want you to say it's on me. Fair enough? All right. So first thing that you do when you wake up in the morning, it's on me. Give me some love. First thing you do when you wake up in the morning, it's on me. When you got a supervisor that you're mad at, and you're mad because you don't get the opportunity because he or she didn't give it to you, it's on me. When you're wasting time and you're mad because you didn't get what you think you deserve, it's on me. You gotta have a seat. All right, so I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of background. I'm huge, I'm high octane. I'm high octane, what that means is I'm high energy. I'm always high energy. To some people it is what it is. I really appreciate the leadership and everybody that's out here. Again, appreciate Chief Calloway for giving me this opportunity and Scott Air Force Base leadership. I really appreciate this. As I go through my travels, I get an opportunity to speak to airmen, big, small, civilian, across the board, the 600+ thousand.
So I get to hang out with Chief Wright and learn a lot of different things. But the one thing I will tell you is that I'm me. I was Jay before the Air Force, and I'm gonna be Jay after the Air Force. But in between, I learned a lot of different things. And the one thing that I talked to the team about earlier is resiliency, right? When you guys hear resiliency, we tie that word with something negative. We tie that word with something sad. When we say, oh, today we're gonna talk about the resilient tactical pause. Maybe suicide is attached to that. Maybe depression is attached to that. Maybe something is attached to resiliency to say, oh man, come on, we need to work together. I don't see resiliency like that, personally. I see resiliency as something awesome, amazing. What an opportunity for you to actually grab something and say, hey man, let me push the envelope a little further. Let me be bold in the initiatives and things that I want to do. That's what I see resiliency as. So, being a 12 Outstanding Airman, I am not perfect. So when you guys hear that being a 12 Outstanding Airman is literally the top 12 people in the Air Force, sometimes I'm kind of like this right here. I'm like, how in the world did a defender for 20 years get that opportunity? Well, let me tell you how that happened. 20 years worth of work. I used to be married. I was married for 12 years, and I had some challenges, and I'm going to expose myself here. In Kadena, it was really hard for me. Because at that point in time, and this was Japan for some of you that don't know where Kadena is at, okay? In Japan, I was married, again, we was married for 12 years. My wife decided at the time that this relationship isn't gonna work. And the reason why it wasn't gonna work is because she didn't wanna live in my shadows, she didn't wanna go through this entire process, so she wanted her own identity, along some other things. Now keep in mind, this wasn't the first shot. We done tried this thing 5 times before to try to work it out. We done separated, we done got together, we done did a lot of different things, and that was hard, man. I was 19 when we got married, fresh out of tech school, like, oh yeah, I love you, you the one. And we carried that thing for 12 years. Well, then it got to a certain point where things just wasn't working out. 2 kids came out of that. Me and my daughter and me and my son, we have a great relationship. I was the fun dad. I was the guy that would come home and be like, hey guys, we on the jungle gym, and they was loving it. But she had the responsibility of maintaining this relationship with the kids. Well, in Japan, she's at the airport. The last thing that she told me is that I'll never see my kids again. And they moved on, and they walked down the tournament. And I felt some kind of way. Up until this point, nobody in my leadership knew. I didn't tell anybody. Like, it's not their responsibility. I'm not telling you anything. I don't want you in my business. So I'm just gonna go ahead and swallow this and figure this out. Well, because I didn't expose myself at work, Sergeant Brown is Sergeant Brown. I was a staff sergeant at the time. Sergeant Brown is Sergeant Brown. But no one really knew because I was able to mask my issues really well. Well, I put a huge dent in the elevator as I was going down because I was super pissed. I was super, super angry. Well, it got to a point where once I got into the parking lot, found my car, and I'm screaming, and I'm just really losing my mind. If you know anything about Kadena, there's a highway leaving from the airport, and the highway goes up, and it curves hard to the left, and it goes to the main road. Well, one of the arguments my ex and I was having was that, you know, I need to take care of things in the house, and I need to take better care of the vehicles, and I'm like, all right, man, We used to argue about these types of things. Well, this one particular time, as I'm driving on the highway, I punched the gas, I let go of the steering wheel, and I closed my eyes, because I was hoping that this vehicle was going to take me smooth off the bridge, so I can just be like, man, look, that's it. Maybe she'll love me. Maybe someone will actually remember, like, man, that dude was a good dude. Well, because of that argument she and I had, I'm glad that I'm not a mechanic, because I had a hard alignment on my car. Once I let go of the steering wheel and I closed my eyes, the steering wheel just curved right around the vehicle, or right around the highway. When I open up my eyes, I see that this vehicle is just smooth curving on the highway, and I just start crying. And I didn't know what to do. I had a friend of mine who reached out to me, and this was a civilian friend of mine, and he really was like, yo man, hey, I heard what happened. He calls me after the fact. He called me after the fact. He didn't call me before I let go of the steering wheel. He called me after. Hey, Jay, hey man, I heard what happened. Hey bro, swing by the house, I got you. Well, the challenges that I was having that a lot of people didn't know is I was sleeping in my office. I was like, look, man, when we left, it was 4:30. As a combat arms instructor, we did everything that we needed to do. My team left. I was leaving with them as if we're going home. I left. I had my pillow and I had my blanket in the vehicle. I sat in the vehicle for a little while, made sure everybody was gone. And then once I realized that everybody in the unit was gone, I would go right back to my office, go into that closet, and I would go to sleep. And I would set my alarm clock for an hour before I knew everyone was coming to work. So once everyone showed up to work, I would be like, hey man, they're like, dang, why are you here so early? Look, because y'all not. I'm high speed. I'm Sergeant Brown, like, let's go. We got to teach class today. No one knew. No one knew I was sleeping in the closet. So the issues that I was having, man, it was really significant. The problem is that I didn't trust the system. I didn't trust my leadership. I didn't trust my supervisors. I didn't trust my peers with this type of information, because I thought it could have been something that would have been detrimental to my career. Well, lo and behold, for me, God is good, because my friend absolutely worked at mental health. So him working at mental health, I trusted him. I had a relationship with him. We were great friends. So what he ended up doing is he actually ended up putting me in a position to talk to the right people. So as I was having these conversations, I started opening up. I started talking to my first sergeant. I started talking to my peers. I started talking to my leadership. And they actually realized, like, whoa, we didn't know. Things changed for me at that point. The biggest thing that I want everybody to realize in here is that we all got challenges. Every single person in here. Every single person in here has something that they're going through in their lives. It might not be to that degree, but every single one of you have a challenge. The biggest thing I want everyone to realize is the relationships that you have. The relationships that you have with your team matter. Every single airman in here, you have a supervisor. Every single staff sergeant and tech sergeant, these are the target people that I want to talk to real quick. You have people that's under you that you need to get to know. Quit applying that level of pressure like, hey, you got to do ops, go do this, go do this. Hey, send me your EPR. That's not it. Go redo your EPR. Bro, I'm an A1C. Like, what do you want me to do? I don't even know what an EPR is. I don't have time for that. Hey, man, you're wrong. And then you're going to mark me down because I can't do an EPR. Like, I don't understand this. Let's get back to the business of actually having relationships. I have a quote that says, relationships are the investment for your future. Relationships are the investment for your future. Haskins, right? Do I know you? I don't know Haskins, right? We just met, right? So if me and Haskins are working together, it's weird if I'm like, hey, Haskins, fresh out of tech school. Hey, man, welcome to Team Scott. This is what you're going to be doing. Boom, 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 boom. And you're like, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, it's a couple of years, and I don't even know your first name, Haskins. I don't even know about your mom. I don't know about your dad. What if I say something to Haskins? You got your mom and dad around? All right. What if I say something to Haskins, and I'm like, yeah, man, you know, moms are awesome. And I find out that he just lost his mom. But I didn't know. Relationships are the investment for your future. So, being from Atlanta, Georgia, that was tough, man, because I had one white friend that I only knew at that place, so my culture of my upbringing was completely different. I was telling a couple of the SEOs earlier at lunch that there is a difference between ask and ask. There's clearly a difference, right? I graduated from high school. I have a diploma. I was like, yeah, man, I'm good to go. Fresh into the Air Force. And I'm walking up to people and I'm like, hey, I need to ask you to get me this right here. Ask me this, ask me this, ask me this. And so someone was like, bro, what are you doing? Chopping trees now? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, hey, I'm asking you to give me this. No, it's ask. And I'm like, oh, okay, now you're a professor. You know what I mean? So I'm feeling some kind of way as a 19-year-old, right? But the biggest thing is that those folks at the time, they didn't understand me. And I didn't understand the culture in which I was in. Not to say that I wasn't educated, but the culture in which I grew up in was a little bit different. Slang is a real thing. That's a real language. I used it a lot. I use it outside of this environment a lot. But at the same time, I had to actually get to a point where I had to understand what the culture was for me. So as I got into this system, I was a hard egg, man. I took Article 15 my first year for falling asleep watching an aircraft. So how many defenders we got here? Y'all know what Article 15 is. So, I mean, I ain't saying you got one. I'm not saying y'all got one. I got one, but I'm not saying you have one. But me growing up, I didn't know what 12-hour shifts looked like. So it was hard. It was really hard being an airman for me in the beginning. Those same issues that some of you are having, I have those same issues. I didn't understand. But I didn't have leaders or supervisors that invested in me enough to say, hey, listen, whoa, 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 you out of pocket. Come here. Let me show you. It was assumed that I knew how to do this because I'm an airman. So I took my Article 15 and I'm standing there and they're like, hey, look, you're going to go to court and we can do this and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, oh, I don't want to get out of the Air Force. My dad's going to kill me. Like, what are you talking about? So I ended up taking my triple nickel and I'm moving. But I was super angry. I was a disgruntled airman. I didn't care. I was like, I'm getting out. This is not for me. My dad was 82nd Airborne. My uncle was Marine Recon. I thought I was smart. Yeah, I'm going to be a defender coming in here. Don't get me wrong. Defender's the truth, so I'm not knocking it. But at the end of the day, I came into this business thinking like, man, I'm going to do it a little different than they did. So when I came into this world, I was just like, man, I really don't know if this is what I want to do because I'm not being invested in. So I genuinely care about relationships. So that is one of my talking points when you start talking about resiliency. Really care about the people that you're around. Another thing that I definitely want to talk to you guys about is when you're thinking about mentoring, I didn't touch on this one, but I really need to hit this. How many folks in here have a mentor? How many folks in here do not have a mentor? That's hard, man. That's hard because you're navigating in a system that there's a lot of people around that can provide you sound advice. I'm going to use Haskins again because he's sitting right in front of me and he looks awesome. I like that. All right. So if Haskins is looking to me to be a mentor, I need to invest in Haskins. Haskins needs to invest in me. It's a marriage. This isn't one of those things I just walked up on Haskins, hey man, I like your haircut. I want to be your mentor. Like, that's not how that works. We have to actually sit here and say, hey, listen, what are the things that you're interested in, and let me help you get through this. Find a mentor. Find someone else that's actually going to provide you that sound advice for growing. As a 12 Outstanding Airmen, man, I really personally had some challenges. People will ask me, hey, who's your mentor? I didn't develop a mentor until later on. I had 5 supervisors in the beginning of my career field I will never forget. And it's not that these 5 individuals are just bad individuals. They were just bad for me at the time. And they taught me what not to do. Because I got teased a lot. I had issues. They didn't give me the opportunities and so on and so on. I said it earlier, it's on you. I was hoping someone was going to take care of it. But it wasn't later on until I found out. One of the things that you talk about is about with being resilient, you have to understand failure. Failure is absolutely imperative. You have to fail. Staff sergeants and tech sergeants, allow your airmen to fail. Allow them to fail. Do not go to a point and expect them to produce a perfect product. I do not expect you to say, hey, listen, I need this widget by tomorrow, and you're going to give me a perfect widget, right? That's not going to happen. I need you to drop the ball, make some mistakes. Master sergeants and senior master sergeants, I need you to give your staff sergeants and tech sergeants room to grow. Provide the information for them to say, hey, listen, we need this project done by X day. I need you and your team to develop a thing. And then work together. That is the biggest thing that I will provide is to say, hey, listen, those relationships are super, super important. Failure? I'll tell you this one story. When I was in basic training, I had my TI, Tech Sergeant Smith. Tech Sergeant Smith was my TI at the 322nd. How many folks in here from the 322nd? Okay, so here we go. I started out as a dorm chief. Reason why I was a dorm chief was because prior to the military, I was kind of like a regional commander for 4 high schools. So I knew a lot about the Air Force and I knew how to do this type of thing. Well, when I came into the Air Force, they made me a dorm chief. Well, as a dorm chief, you know, I'm thinking like, hey man, I'm in charge of all of these people. We're going to work together. We're going to be the best team ever, X, Y, and Z. Well, I ended up getting fired because I started a pillow fight. That didn't work out too good for me whatsoever. So during this time frame, I realized that a lot of people was telling on me, a lot of people was doing this, so I got fired from that job. They fired me from that job and made me an element leader. Well, as the element leader, Tech Sergeant Smith was running a little bit late one particular day, and I marched the entire flight from our spot all the way to the chow hall. Well, because I can do that. I understood drill, so I can do facing movements. I can turn an entire crowd like, let's go. Call left, yeah, and we on it, right? So it wasn't even a problem for me. Well, everybody ate good. They got to the chow hall on time. The team is like, dang, Brown, you good, man. Boom, 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 boom. Oh. I had to meet the snake pit. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, 6. I had to meet 6 snake heads. Who do you think you are? You're not this and you're not that. And I'm like, holy smokes. Every rep reports his orders. I'm doing facing movements. And I'm giving out 341s. And I'm just losing it all day long. I have nothing left to give you. Like, give me a 341. I don't have one. Every rep reports his order. I don't have that. So it got to a point, instantly I felt I lost that job. So no longer was I an element leader. Well, they made me a chow hall runner. Because apparently I like to take people to the chow hall. I don't know how I got fired from that job either, but I got fired from that job. So there's one particular day they told me to go clean up the bay. So I'm cleaning up the bay, and for some of you young folks, you guys probably had cell phones, you can Snapchat while you was in basic training, you can do a lot of different things. No, that's not happening. Somebody told me that you guys had cell phones. I don't know, in basic training. Good. So that means payphones is still a real thing. Probably not, but we had payphones and calling cards at the time. So I'm cleaning up in the area. I see this one kid practicing working on the guidon, and he's not getting it at all. So I look around and I'm like, man, I really need to work on this. Let me go help this guy. So I leave from the job I'm supposed to be doing to go help out this one kid to do the guidon. So he's standing there and I'm like, look, man, this is how you do this. Oh, that wonderful voice, Tech Sergeant Smith. Brown! Oh, shoot. Airman reports his order, sir, like, what are you doing? Da, 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 da. I was like, sir, I was just helping him out to do this and to do this. So I show him. They fired that guy. He hired me to be the guidon. So my last job in basic training was the guidon bearer. Well, I wanted to prove something to Sergeant Smith. I wanted to prove to him that I'm worth it. I wanted to prove to him to say, hey, look, man, I can do this. Trust me. So I'm sticking these guys, trying to bend these things, go crazy. Well, this one particular time, we're standing in formation on the parade ground, and we're in BDUs. He's standing right in front of me. I have the guidon. I come up, boom, I stick the guidon. It's perfect. It's like, ooh, it's like that movie 300. It was just perfect. Well, the problem with that is that Sergeant Smith, I knocked his hat off. So he picks his hat up, he looks back at me, and he says, if you do it again, I'm gonna knock your face off. Roger that. Boom, boom, boom. I practiced that thing so much, I was having dreams about it. Because I wanted it to be perfect. He gave me the opportunity, and I wanted to pay him back for it. Well, that year, 99, the 322nd, our flight, me and Tech Sergeant Smith, we made the Air Force Times as the best team as we were marching down the guidon, or marching down the runway, because I was bending guidons and breaking them. Like, who is this person that's breaking guidons? I was bending them that much. So they gave me a different guidon that was a little bit thicker. So as we were marching down, so I don't break them. I tell you that story because failure is inevitable. You will fail. You will not get promoted. You will drop the ball. You will not get that job that you're looking for. That's okay. That's okay. Keep fighting at it. Keep fighting at it. I am not a 12 outstanding airman because life was just perfect for me in the Air Force. I did not just walk around like, oh, thank you. Oh, 20 years and it's just awesome. No way, man. That was not the case at all. I had some real challenges. I went through divorce. I attempted suicide twice. I had some real challenges. But once I started letting people in and I started getting people to help me out, I was good. I was okay with that. So it got to a real point where I said, hey, look, man, you know what? I need help. There is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with trusting that first line supervisor, your first sergeant, your commander, your chief. Reach out to these people. Military or civilian, it doesn't matter. For the ones in here who have airmen underneath them, get to know your people. The job is going to get done. If the ball goes up today, every single uniform wearer in here, get ready to deploy. Guess what? Your job is still going to get done. It doesn't stop. But the one thing that helps out is the relationships with people. I travel around the Air Force a lot, and I talk to a lot of airmen. And the constant that I'm hearing is communication. Communication. Well, Sergeant Brown, my supervisor is this, or I don't get this level of information. Well, hey, guess what? What are you doing about it? I don't know. Well, why don't you go talk to them? Why don't you go peel that information? Go talk to your supervisor and say, hey, feed me this. So that's the biggest thing that I've noticed across the Air Force is that ability to communicate. The disconnect is that we don't communicate down and we don't communicate up. We assume a lot of stuff. And I challenge every single one of you, have a relationship with the people around you, up, down, left, and right. All right? One of the biggest things that I've had is that my biggest support system, and as a person I always give props to, I told you guys I was married, but you see this ring on my finger, I am married now. So I've gotten remarried. So this young lady has been a huge part of my life. She has helped me out, and she has supported me through and through. In such a way that she helped me carry everything I have, I owe it to her. Because guess what she turned around and gave me? She gave me a baby that's due here in the next couple months. So I'm about to have a little baby girl, so I really appreciate that. But I will tell you this right here, and I'm going to leave it at that. There's somebody in here. There's somebody in here that's hurting. There's somebody that's sitting to the left of you. There's somebody that's sitting behind you or in front of you. And they're hurting. They're afraid that if they expose themselves, that their career is over. It's not. I've been a defender for 20 years, and I've never lost my weapon. I've gone through mental health. I've gone through therapy. I've gone through MFLAG. I've gone through a lot of different things. And I've never lost my weapon. And I realized, like, wow, man, people genuinely do care. If you don't feel like anyone around you cares, I care. I can't save 600,000 plus people in the Air Force. I can't. But I'm going to do my damnedest to try until the day I hit the ground. Because that's what we're here to do. We're not just wingmen, man. We're family. And that has to mean something. Because it means a lot to me. All right? So, I will open it up for questions and comments, and I'll explain to you guys if you're curious about this 12 Outstanding Airmen business. Anybody got any questions? Don't be bashful. Also, disclaimer, I'm a real individual, so I don't, if you're sitting with your supervisor, you need to tee off on your supervisor. Don't go too crazy. Just make an imaginary person. Then you guys can talk about the sideline. Well, I will tell you this while you guys are pondering on the question. Who knows what a 12 Outstanding Airman is? Who actually knew what that was before I actually even came here? Who didn't know? Let's go with that. Yeah, that's a lot of people, right? I have no clue what a 12 Outstanding Airman was until I even won. So I found out like a couple of years, I found out 19 what a 12 Outstanding Airman is. So basically what happens is that you win at your group level, it goes all the way up to your wing, it pushes all the way up to your numbered Air Force, and all the way up to your MSgt. So Haskins is up for Airman of the Quarter. Nice. So, so his package is going all the way up. When Haskins wins at the MSgt level, AMC for you guys? AFMC, all right. So once he wins at his level, what tends to happen is that now you're a MSgt winner. You now compete across the other MSGts. So you're competing against super awesome people. And of that, 12 of you will become the 12 Outstanding Airmen for Air Force. And that's just it in a nutshell. So for me to actually win, it was pretty insane. And I think what got me there was this one particular story. So I was deployed, and I was in a vehicle accident that rolled over 12 times. What ended up happening with this vehicle is that this vehicle is not built for the rollover. This was not built to actually take this type of hit. So what happens was that the young lady that was sitting in front of me, she was almost about to fly out the window. So I had to put her in a rear naked choke to actually hold her still. The person next to me, his seatbelt was his seatbelt that came undone. So you're talking about 210 pounds of a floating object inside of a vehicle. That was going to be a problem. So I lodged my knee into his rib to crack it just to keep him where he's standing at. The person behind me, I had to put her in a cross-collar choke just to make sure I maintain a three-point position. So as I'm looking at this vehicle get ready to tilt over, I was like, I don't think this is fun. Lock, lock. So I kind of locked in place to create a three-point position inside the vehicle, and we're taking this turn. And I was like, man, I don't think this thing is ever going to stop. But once it finally stopped, I was like, oh, here we go. So I do three particular things anytime that I'm in vehicle accidents or anything like that. I touch my fingers, I move my head up and down to check my spine, and I wiggle my toes to make sure everything else is fine down low. So once I realized all that was good, took my knife out, started taking people outside of the vehicle, dragging them out. It's all six of us. The person with the broken ribs, I mean, they're fine now. The young lady I had to put to sleep, she's just feel good. She's in the Air Force. She's breathing. She knows what it feels like to go to sleep, though. But she's out. And the young lady that was behind me, she was complaining about her back. So I opened up the back of her shirt, and she had internal bleeding. And at that point in time, I was like, oh, it's go time. So we took another vehicle, grabbed everybody, made it back to the base. Once we got to the base, the EMTs, everybody was on scene, and they're like, oh, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. So I'm like, yeah, let's go, boom, boom, boom. One of the EMTs, Senior Master Sergeant Barber, I believe that's who it was, he's looking at me, he's like, hey, man, are you good? And I was like, yeah, we gotta go, let's go, let's go, let's go. When you got time, boom, boom, boom. He's like, no, you're not. You have a huge knot on the back of your head. Well, come to find out, I had a traumatic brain injury, a busted shoulder, and this crazy scratch on the back of my back, on my back. Once he pointed all those things out, I was like, oh no. It was go time. After that, I was gone for 24 hours, so they ripped up my best outfit, and it's kind of brutal. But regardless of the fact, one of the things I can tell you is there is a story inside of that. Is that no matter what the situation is, no matter how hard it is, no matter how bad you're getting beat up, no matter how much your supervisor tags you or the information that you're not getting, make sure that you keep fighting for those around you. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Because somebody needs you. Somebody really needs your assistance. And that's what I would hope that you all take from this. Relationships, keep fighting, and failure. It's okay to fail. It literally is okay to fail. Just keep bouncing back. Yeah? Questions? Now we can do the questions. Shoot.
Sergeant Brown, thanks a lot for coming by and seeing your case from LRS.
Yes, sir.
I had a question about the balance basically between the taking care of your people portion of the job and the mission portion of the job. Do you have any secrets on how to do that so well?
Yeah, no doubt. So the question was how do you find that balance, right? How do you find the balance between taking care of people and your mission? I'm going to add something in there as your family, right? That's hard. You have family. Some of you are married. Some of you are in relationships. Some of you have dogs at home that you have to get to. Like, oh, I have to take care of Noodle. You know what I mean? I have to take care of this person, right? So how do you find that balance? There are 24 hours in a day. Oprah Winfrey has the same exact 24 hours that you do. The biggest thing for me is I wake up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I go to the gym for 2 hours and I put in work. So I make sure that fitness is insanely huge for me. I have to maintain the ability to maximize on that job. I may take some time for school, spend some time with family, but you got to set your priorities. The job is going to get done. I'm going to be honest with you. My super chief could say, hey, Jay, I need you to get this done, and I need this done tomorrow. Roger that. I'm going to look at that task, and I'm going to say, man, I don't know if this is going to take 24 hours. This might take 48 hours. Hey, chief, just to give you a heads up, I can produce on this, but I'm not going to be able to get this to you by the end of the day. Well, I need this done. Roger that. 100%, this has to happen, right? Too easy. I've already asked them if I can have some more time. I don't have 48 hours all the time. Okay, cool. Now I got to maximize my team. Okay, cool. This is how we're going to take this. We need to get this widget. I need you to deal with the digit, the widget, the other thing, and the other thing. And I need you guys to get this back to me because you're really good at analyzing stuff. You're really good at this. Why? Because I know my team. maximize your team. One of the things we have a tendency of doing is getting tasks and trying to internalize it and do it ourselves. Maximize your team. Hey guys, get this back to me in a couple hours. Within those couple hours, you do what you can do. If the job doesn't get done and it's not life, death, that's causing any limbs, go back to that source and say, hey, this is what we have. I'm not going to be able to finalize this until tomorrow. You have to be transparent with that. Because I'm not going to sacrifice my family time. I'm not going to go home and just be like, hey, babe, I can't do this today. I'll see you tomorrow. That's tough, man. That's tough. Certain things have to be valued and important in your life. That's my philosophy. You may have supervisors that don't, their philosophy might be a little bit different. But the thing I can tell you, find out what's important in your life. And don't sacrifice that. The mission is going to get done. That's priority. That's priority one. We're going to get that done. But within that, you need to find out, hey, like, what keeps me whole as an airman? If it's noodle, make sure you spend some time with noodle. Yeah. What other questions you guys have? Well, I got a question for you is, here at Scott Air Force Base, what is the biggest challenge that you all have as airmen communicating upward? What is the challenge for airmen to communicate upward? Are you in an environment that allows you to communicate upward? Shoot.
Every 1 year, we say about CES.
Well,
I've experienced where I communicate upward. That is for me is I'm very proactive. So I feel like if I can, which I can, decide to do which I have 72 hours, achieving back to the answer. And I feel like when you're going to that whole about it doesn't change the man.
right.
That's just taking too much time. I feel like you gotta do such and such. It won't be not happening.
Right. Okay, perfect. So his statement was his challenge, and maybe it's some of you, his challenge is that when he routes information upward, whether it be through a routing system or verbally provided some advice, it doesn't come back within 72 hours. It comes back much later, maybe 30 days later, and it might come back late, right? Later than you really need it. Why is it that when you route information up, you can't get it back in a timely manner? Okay? I thought somebody was going to answer that. Okay. So here's my take on this is that, again, I'm going back to relationships, right? If you're one of my troops and you're routing information to me, transparency and communication has to be vital. If you're saying, hey, sir, I have this tasker that I'm trying to get a job and they need a response back in 72 hours. My first question to you is, when did you find out? When did you find out this information? Because as an individual, if you give me something and you're like, hey, sir, I need this back. I need the commander to sign this and I need it back in 24 hours. Yeah, you might get this one back in a couple of weeks. So when you find out information, be transparent. Be forthcoming with that information. As soon as you find out and you need something to be signed or you need to be routed, whether it's personally or professionally, push forward. Hey, sir, just to give you a heads up, I got this thing and it needs to be done by the end of the week. This is where the tasker came from. We're going to have that conversation. Supervisors, do not sit on this information. Your airmen need information. They need answers quickly. Don't sit here and say you don't have time. Collect that data and say, okay, cool, this is important to this individual. Just because it's not important to you doesn't mean that it's not important. This person wants to go to Palace Chase. This person wants to get out the military. This person wants to go to OTS. This person wants to do X, Y, and Z. Hey, listen, going back to you, Haskins. Me and you were best friends. Hey, Haskins, no doubt, what do you have going on? Yes, sir, I need X, Y, and Z. Too easy. I'm going to get that answer to you. Give me 24 hours. Talk back to your folks and let them know. Hey, give me 24 hours, I'm on this. Take a note. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, Haskins, I couldn't get this thing back to you because guess what? Haskins now has trust with me.
You can't force your supervisors to do what I just said. You can't. But you got to be very cognizant of the situation and say, okay, I've pushed this information up. If your supervisor can't address it, go to your supervisor and then push it to the next level. That's called chain of command. I hope that kind of answered it a little bit. Yeah. All right. Q&A time. All right, there's one person that I definitely want to thank. I really want to thank for having this opportunity. I appreciate Chief Calloway. Again, I really appreciate you giving me this chance to talk to Scott. But there's a really good dude, great friend, great brother of mine who's put in the work to bring you all here today. And I want to bring him up to the front. That is Senior Master Sergeant Select Nathan Jackson. Before he actually says anything, I'm going to do this again. I just need him to make sure he made his way to the front. So we talked about relationships, right? In all of it, it's resilient. I told you guys earlier, resiliency isn't a bad thing. Resiliency doesn't have an image. Resiliency is who you are and the work that you put forth and the energy that you put towards the thing. I met this guy a couple years ago. By 18, I met him a couple years ago. We were deployed together. I didn't know him from anything. We're sitting on the same plane. I was sick. I was getting the chills, and I was dying. And I'm looking at him, and he looked like a civilian because he was in civilian clothes. So I thought he was a contractor. I met him again during a Chiefs panel, and I'm sitting here getting ready to take some notes, listening to all of these Chiefs provide this amazing insight. And then here's this individual 2 rows behind me, and he hits a question to all of the Chiefs that was pretty difficult for them to answer right there on the spot. So I was like, man, who is this guy that's trying to embarrass all of these Chiefs? So he's like, good evening, Chiefs. My name is Nathan Jackson, and I want to say X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to repeat the question. And I was really surprised. So after the fact, I pulled up on Nate, and I said, hey, man, like, who are you, and are you for real? Like, I don't know. Like, are you for real about taking care of him? And then he and I had talked. He had his mentees, I had my mentees, and we got together, and we just really built. We established a relationship. I didn't ask him anything about work. I know he's in the military at that point. I didn't ask him about work. I wasn't asking him to help me get promoted. I wasn't asking him anything like that. We established a rapport. Once we established that rapport, I knew he was for real. And his business is take care of Airmen. So I was like, oh man, we in the same business. Let's go. And ever since then, he is part of the team that helped me become a 12 Outstanding Airman. He is not security forces. I was like, hey man, what do you think about this right here? He was like, Jay, no one knows what an on-scene commander is, man. I'm gonna need you to tighten it up. So we build with each other, and that's why I said I really appreciate it, bro, that you brought me out here again. Words have no meaning to our relationship. So with that, I'll leave it to Sergeant Jackson.
Team Scott, thank you very much for taking the time. Senior leaders, Chief Calloway, thank you for this opportunity. We talk about rapport, building trust. My true passion is servant leadership, okay? I want to be a servant leader, okay? Everyone has a story in here to tell. My story is no different. And to be able to be afforded the opportunity to see the faces, I know you guys are killing it day in and day out. So as I take a look out at the crowd, our Air Force, we breed excellence. Think about that. Think about that for a second. Everyone in here that's sitting down, you are a 12 OAY. You don't have the title, but you share the responsibilities. So think about that as you move forward in your career, okay? Operate within your, know your mission. What is your purpose? Provide that with your vision, how I'm going to achieve that. And I guarantee you, you will see results. And it's simple for me. And I echo these exact same sentiments to you. It's never a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. So apply that both to your personal life and your professional life as well. So, without further ado, I need it.
Not good, let's do it.
Oh, let's do it. I need everyone to stand up.
So before Nate goes into this, this is our closing on everything that we do. This is our closing on everything that we do. It's important and it's extremely imperative that we do this because it has meaning. So I'm gonna let him go ahead and break it down.
All right, Team Scott, I need your assistance. We need to blow the roof off this thing. When I say let's get it, I need you to say got it. So when I say let's get it, you say got it. But you gotta be loud though, okay? When I say let's get it, you say got it. When I say let's get it, you say got it. All right. When I say dynamite, I need you to say boom. I say dynamite, you say boom. I say dynamite, you say boom. Okay, I say let's get it, you say got it. All right, I'm gonna put a little twist on it at the end. Here we go. Y'all ready?
Let's get it.
Team Scott, you ready? Yeah. No, you're not ready. Team Scott, you ready? Yeah. Let's get it! Yeah. Let's get it! Yeah. Let's get it! Yeah. Dynamite! Woo. I have spoken.
Hey, thank you guys again. Please go ahead and have a seat. Chief, floor is yours, sir.
Just want to highlight certain key points that you catch when folks are telling their story. And when he told the story about the rollover this morning, I kind of pulled him to the side and said, man, you really expressed the training that you had, because in a split second, he remembered that, hey, I had to have 3 areas of contact to make sure that I took care of everyone that was inside of that vehicle and myself as it rolled over, right? And then the other piece we kind of talked about was hey, you can find yourself in need of help, right? Because again, his hair was twice the size it should have been. He had problems with his shoulders. He had problems with his back, but yet he was still engaged in helping others until someone came up to him and was like, hey, you need some help. Let me help you. And sometimes that's what our day-to-day business is like. Sometimes we suffer internally, but we're still engaging and helping others, waiting for that person to come up and actually extend a hand to help us. Thank you so much. On behalf of, so you showed up, I wouldn't say at the right time. Colonel Heathman, our commander, is out after medical surgery. He's gone. Our vice, Colonel Myers, he is running the business of a wing, right, with 36 mission partners. But they both expressed a sincere desire and hope to be here, even though they couldn't. But I want to take the time. They did give me the coin, man. This is the coin you say on behalf of our leadership team. We want to thank you as a 1208Y member, knowing how busy your schedule is, man. You still found time to come to our small corner of the world and speak to our folks and make us better, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Say this is that I am humbled and I really appreciate it. Like, honestly, the biggest thing about me, man, is that I care about airmen. You guys hear it a lot, but I'm deeply passionate about what we do, because realistically, what do we look like in the next 5, 10, 15 years? What does the Air Force look like, right? If you really think about it, for some of us, in 10 years, where's that airman at? That airman right now is in the 2nd grade. Airman's in the 2nd grade. I was telling these guys earlier, like, they're coloring right now. They're like, look at this. They're barely inside the lines. They can't even spell Air Force. They're in the 2nd grade. I took a picture with a bunch of 2nd graders, and they're climbing all on top of me. I'm at the elementary school, and I'm like, yeah, guys, this is awesome. And they love the pictures. But they don't know why I took that picture, because when I get ready to retire, that airman is going to be in my office. It's going to be at my retirement ceremony. And I'm like, dang, man, you're the youngest one in here. You know you were in the 10th grade? Oh, yeah, sir, Brown, that's awesome. God, that's crazy, dude. You had no clue. So I will tell you, what does the Air Force look like? So for every single E1, 2, 3, 4 that's in here right now, I'm going to tell you, man, you guys are the future. Who's the youngest? Who just graduated from basic training 6 months ago? 7.
Ashley.
Come on, Ashley. Let's go, right man. Don't feel bad about that. I'm going to tell you right now, because you are the future of the Air Force, legitly. You are genuinely the future of the Air Force, because every single one of these folks in here will get to that point where they're gonna retire and they'll push on. I'll be sitting in a rocking chair as an angry old man, just like, get out of here, kids. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be my life. But it's gonna be on you to actually take this information and information that you've picked up along the way and apply it to that second grade. Because that's how that's gonna work, right? So relationships are important. That's why I genuinely think that Airman, where's Saeed at? I think that's, yeah. I was talking to Saeed earlier. I was like, yeah, what's up, Saeed? He's like, yeah, it's real. It's like, yeah, you was here early. No, I'll be here later. So I appreciate that, Saeed. You're all right with me. All right? So build relationships with your airmen, get to know them, because guess what? They will follow you smooth off the cliff if you just invest a little bit of time. So again, Chief and the rest of the Scott Air Force Base, I really appreciate you guys having me here, so thank you.
I got nothing else for you. I have spoken.